welcome to NTD China News. I'm Karen Chang. Making headlines this Monday, April 15th. US and China reach an agreement over the denuclearization of the Korean Peninsula. A US naval fleet arrives in Hong Kong, and how the H7N9 bird flu virus could spread outside of mainland China. World powers have been nervously following the militant threats from North Korea. Over the weekend, US Secretary of State John Kerry was in Beijing, urging North Korea's only major ally to do something about Kim Jong-un's rogue regime.
Protesters gathered in South Korea's capital today, the 101st birthday of North Korean founder Kim Il-sung. They chanted slogans and burned effigies, calling on the North Korean regime to give up its nuclear weapons and stop threatening South Korea. Over the weekend in China, U.S. Secretary of State John Kerry met with senior Chinese leaders in Beijing. North Korea was high on the agenda.
And as a result of that discussion, we are able, the United States and China, to underscore our joint commitment to the denuclearization of the Korean Peninsula in a peaceful manner.
The Chinese regime is North Korea's biggest trading partner and political ally. Trade between the two sides reaches more than $6 billion per year. Before his visit to China, Kerry had said that he hoped the Asian neighbor would take a more active role in getting North Korea to abandon its nuclear program. Last Thursday, a U.S. intelligence report said North Korea possibly has the ability to launch a nuclear missile. The Chinese regime has called for a cautious response to North Korea's provocations, worried that a more forceful reaction could create a nuclear war.
We maintain that the issue should be handled and resolved peacefully through dialogue and consultation. To properly address the Korean nuclear issue serves the common interests of all parties. It is also the shared responsibility of all parties.
Following his meetings with Chinese leaders, Kerry said he wanted to make sure the pledges they made were, quote, not just rhetoric. Another U.S. official, the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, Martin Dempsey, will visit China later this month for further talks on North Korea.
As tension builds on the Korean Peninsula and the threat of military action looms, a U.S. naval fleet has docked in Hong Kong. Is the timing a coincidence, or are China and the U.S. trying to send a message to North Korea?
Today, 3 U.S. naval vessels carrying more than 2,500 sailors have docked in Hong Kong, drawing a crowd of media attention. It's rare for a ship of this size to dock with any peer, so many were wondering, why did the fleet turn up?
We maintain readiness and preparedness to conduct any one of a number of missions that may come our way. We're always ready, but the purpose of our visit here is just to relax.
The Marines are on their way back to California after a 5-month deployment with the U.S. Fifth Fleet. The naval forces in the Persian Gulf, Red Sea, Arabian Sea, and off the coast of East Africa. Their arrival in Hong Kong coincides with increasingly militant threats from North Korea to attack the U.S. and South Korea. Those threats have put world powers on alert. The U.S. has recently conducted joint military drills with both South Korea and Japan in the region. U.S. officials have also reported a buildup of China's People's Liberation Army on the North Korean border, a claim the Chinese regime has denied.
Well, I don't believe that the purpose of our visit is to send any messages. It's just a routine visit. It is unusual for a ship of this size to be able to come pierside in any port, and we're very grateful for that opportunity.
Which of course means their docking was approved by authorities. The Chinese regime has balked at the U.S. military pivot to the Asia-Pacific region. But the arrival of the U.S. fleet with Chinese approval, whether intended or not, most likely will not escape the attention of North Korea.
So far, cases of the H7N9 bird flu in humans have been restricted to China's eastern provinces until now. Over the weekend, China's capital reported its first cases of the virus, and today authorities warn that more than 500,000 residents there are at high exposure risk to the bird flu virus.
More than 580,000 people in China's capital are highly exposed to the H7N9 bird flu virus, the city's health bureau spokesman said on Monday. The announcement came after Beijing reported the first cases of an H7N9 virus carrier. A 4-year-old boy tested positive for the virus on Sunday but has not shown any symptoms.
It's meaningful because it is the first time a carrier has been found among people who do not show flu symptoms.
On Saturday, Beijing health authorities reported the city's first human case of H7N9. Tests confirmed that a 7-year-old girl who fell ill was infected with the virus. She is in Beijing Ditan Hospital in a stable condition. As of Monday, at least 14 people have died from the virus, out of 63 reported cases in mainland China. Chinese authorities say there is no evidence of human-to-human transmission, but with the first cases of H7N9 being reported outside of eastern China, some people are worried.
As for this disease, who knows who's infected? Especially for me that I'm in hospital now, it's unavoidable to contact those people who might be infected. Nobody knows who carries this virus, mainly because it is spread wider, unlike other diseases. So I certainly feel kind of nervous.
In an attempt to keep the citizens calm, Chinese authorities have detained more than a dozen people for spreading what they claim are rumors about the increase of bird flu infection. The World Health Organization and China's health ministry are still looking for the source of the infection. They focused on poultry markets where some birds have tested positive to H7N9.
While the new strain of bird flu virus has only been reported in mainland China for now, authorities in the region remain on high alert because one way the virus could be spreading may not be something that border quarantine officials can prevent.
The new strain of the H7N9 bird flu virus may have the potential to spread further than China. According to Hong Kong microbiologist Professor Yuan Kwok-yung, a large number of wild birds may have already contracted the disease, and to make matters worse, they're on the move. Migratory birds are headed north for the summer, but they'll be headed south soon enough for the winter. Professor Yuan says Hong Kong needs to be prepared. He gave the example of the H5N1 bird flu virus, which mutated and became a bigger threat.
We know that with H5N1, if 3 of the genes swap, then it can be transmitted through saliva, and the transmission between people can be very serious.
At a press conference on Friday, he said Hong Kong needs to be prepared for when, not if, the birds come. Wild birds could contaminate Hong Kong's poultry.
A lot of the patients had a history of coming into contact with poultry. Also, many are the elderly or those who have retired.
Photos like these have been appearing on China's array of microblogs. Birds mysteriously dying in droves. Why they're dying has not been confirmed. But with 14 people dead and 63 reported human cases of the H7N9 bird flu, people are connecting the dots. The silver lining? Experts are, for now, saying it's unlikely the bird flu will mutate into a form that could be passed from human to human.
And coming up after the break, witnesses tortured at the Masanjia Labor Camp say local police are hunting them down. China posts an unexpected GDP growth, and this French musician finds a message in Shen Yun that he says should be shared around the world. And welcome back. China-based Lens magazine exposed a side of China's labor camps that has shocked the Chinese public. So much so that authorities in northeastern China's Liaoning province have said they will investigate the notorious Masanjia Labor Camp. Does this mean authorities now are serious about reforming labor camps? Not according to former inmates who say police are now trying to silence them.
Masanjia Labor Camp has been in the headlines recently for its abusive treatment of the inmates there. But even before a detailed report on the camp's situation made headlines on April 6, Chinese leaders were already considering reforming the controversial penal system. At least, that's what they said. Liaoning province, where Masanjia is located, has mobilized a team of investigators to look into the torture claims. This former inmate at Masanjia applied to be on the team of investigators, but she says she was denied and thinks she knows why.
There was a secret order that the investigation should be quickly wrapped up, and it should try to redirect public opinion about the torture in Masanjia to prevent so-called overseas forces from tarnishing the image of the Communist Party.
Zhu was talking about the secret order. It surfaced on Chinese internet over the weekend. The order was issued by this man, Zheng Qiaoyin, the newly appointed head of Liaoning's labor camp system. Zhang is one of the officials leading the investigation into Masanjia. The problem is, he used to be the director of the camp.
Zhang has spent much of the past decade at Masanjia. All of the torture that happened there happened under his watch. Now he's in charge of this investigation team. What else is he meant to do aside from cover up what happened?
This theory supports what happened to Li Wenjuan. The former taxation officer was tortured at Masanjia in 2006. On Saturday, she tried to sign up to be on the investigation team. Liaoning authorities had invited citizens to join and said it would make its findings public. But instead, Li said police hounded her home for a whole day. Li told NTD she's now too scared to speak up. China-based Lens magazine was the first mainland media to report about the systematic abuses in Chinese labor camps. Li says Liaoning police are now looking for others mentioned by the magazine, trying to make them sign a guarantee not to talk about what happened.
China has reported a surprising GDP for the first quarter of this year, a number below what many analysts had predicted. China's National Bureau of Statistics, or NBS, announced today that officially GDP grew by 7.7% year-on-year between January to March. Economists had predicted a growth of around 8%. NBS spokesman Shen Yun said the lower GDP was because of domestic policy adjustments as well as the broader global situation. Economists have pointed out that several domestic indicators showed signs of slowing before the official GDP figures came out. Industrial output grew slower in March. Retail sales have also been sluggish despite official efforts to boost domestic spending. The announcement of China's official GDP figures spooked markets around the world. Stocks in Europe and Asia posted big losses on Monday. Commodities have fallen to a 9-month low, with gold and silver tumbling upon the news. 12 Chinese fishermen arrested in the Philippines last week have been caught with thousands of pounds of protected animal. After reinvestigating the boat, the Philippines Coast Guard found over 22,000 pounds of pangolin meat. Pangolin, which looks like this, has been protected from international trading since 2002. Nevertheless, it has been prey to a thriving black market. Pangolin meat and scales are a high commodity in China. Many believe the scales have curative properties. The prosecutor for the case says the illegal game could add up to 6 years and almost $300,000 in fines to the fishermen's charges. The Chinese nationals were initially caught for fishing in the Philippines' exclusive economic zone on April 8th. Their boat damaged a marine sanctuary called the Chubataha Reef. The Chinese fishermen are also being charged with bribery. They tried to bribe park rangers with $2,400 upon their arrest. Before the discovery of the pangolin, the fishermen were already facing up to 12 years and more than $100,000 in fines if they were found guilty. What's something that can be shared around the world? Well, according to one musician who saw Shen Yun performing arts over the weekend in France, it's the message of harmony and compassion he saw through Shen Yun's portrayal of China's traditional culture.
Shen Yun Performing Arts played April 12th at the Palais des Congrès de Paris, and French conductor Richard Baudeham described the performance as extraordinary.
First, in the form of the orchestra, as I am a conductor, I found it was extraordinary. No wrong chord. It's a detailed work speaking of accuracy and preparation. It's extraordinary. The richness of the mix between Occidental and traditional instruments is very, very, very harmonious. As for the dance, the velocity and precision is incredible. When there are so many people on stage, there is work in terms of choreography and rehearsals, rehearsals and rehearsals. I see clearly all the hard work they did behind this.
Shen Yun's mission is to revive 5,000 years of China's divinely inspired civilization, and the stories portrayed on stage reflect China's traditional values.
I was very pleasantly surprised to see that there are people defending harmony, forbearance and compassion, something that can't really be found in China. So I found this very extraordinary. I found this very extraordinary because it's a very strong message. And I think we have to share in this message everywhere in the world because it's a message of harmony between humans and everybody. People who don't necessarily have the same religion, the same skin color, the same thinking. We have to diversify it, diversify its richness, and the world has to go this way. Otherwise, the world is not going the right way.
Mr. Baudeham said he appreciated the message of the performance.
This is why I really liked tonight's message, and this politic message was everywhere. Even in the songs, sopranos, tenors, I saw it all, and I didn't know. Maybe it was the thing I appreciated the most.
Shen Yun's European tour concluded April 13th with a final performance in Paris. NTD, Paris, France.
And that's all for this broadcast of NTD China News. For more of our China-related topics, visit our website at ntd.tv or subscribe to our YouTube channel, NTDonChina. Coming up next is China Focus, where Shelley Zhang speaks with Jason Ma and Chen Zhifei about the US, China, and the threat from North Korea. Stay tuned.